Hey there YouTube. Hi, welcome everyone. Controversial Merrick here. A deep bow to you all. My dear friends, let's move on to the market update. First of all, as always, this is not investment advice. This is my opinion. Look elsewhere for advice. Let's get started. Today we'll kick off this update with the news, my friends, with the news. Why? Because there are a few very important pieces of information. Since the 25th of July, we've actually been spamming the group right after that drop on Friday about daily and weekly gaps, that these are our main supports and so on. That was the case with altcoins. Here the long-short ratio, which was very favorable for growth, as you can see, meaning long positions, because the number of shorts exploded upwards. I also saw myself, my dear friends, that many people actually from the competition were piling in here, already trying to catch falling knives, some going long with stop losses here. Ouch. But quite a few were also joining the shorts here. So I hope, my friends, that you didn't get caught out, because honestly, I don't know if you'll get that back. I have no idea, but more on that in a moment. However, I actually caught a long on Bitcoin right from the very bottom. You could have potentially seen this significant level, which was clearly marked by me, my dear friends, either on my YouTube channel or, for example, within the free group that I manage. This level was marked multiple times in my analyses. I mentioned that this is a fair value gap that we would reach, meaning simply an imbalance on the chart that would likely get filled. And most often in a strong trend, we do a cycle, an entry, and then an immediate pull upward. So that's exactly what happened. My dear friends, I closed that long position, just so you know. Yesterday, my lovely little bugs, I closed BTC, took the profit, and closed it at the price of 119,650, because that's a position on Bitcoin. You can tell by the price that it's a Bitcoin position. I closed my Ether position this morning, my dear friends. The minimum target for ETH was 4 grand, right? But when I woke up, I took profits around 3,600. I'm closing now with a plus 12% on my account. That's the Ethereum position closed at 1014, so the profit is locked in. Over the weekend, I made more than 7 grand in dollars, so that's pretty nice. And now we traded a short on Ethereum, which has been executed. The ATH take profit was executed at plus 2% of the deposit, and the short we traded on Bitcoin, I closed with a minimal profit, and I opened a long on Bitcoin. As for this long, to be honest with you, well, we'll see. We'll see what happens at 8 o'clock. We'll see what the aftermarket brings, which has just started in America. But now, my dear friends, we're moving strictly to the analysis, and I'll just show you one more thing, because it's always very interesting to me what a Quantic is coming up with on his channel. We have a very strong spike in open interest. It looks like we're in for a big move. Yes, okay. We're also getting close to our gap on the futures, okay? Yes, that gap was a bit lower. It was at 115,600, and I think we just barely touched it, but we definitely didn't feel it completely. Ethereum will make a strong move to attack 4 grand before long, right? Exactly, and that's what I want to talk to you about today, my dear friends, because honestly, a lot is happening, so much is going on, and what I want to tell you, I really want to tell you, but my dear friends, pay attention to this. Let's switch over to the H4 chart, and now here's the thing. Today has been phenomenal, just phenomenal, because the trade was closed at the top, taken from the very bottom, okay? In the group, Ethereum was traded the same way from around 3,600, well, let's say about 3,580 from those areas. Here, after confirming the liquidity grab from this zone, I simply decided to open a long position according to the system, which, my friends, was closed almost at the very top. So honestly, wow, I'm extremely satisfied. I'll be honest with you. Privately, I'm longing Ether again, doing it my own way, longing without a stop loss, with a lot of breathing room, because my liquidation's around 1,500, so I've got plenty of room, and if we go lower, I'll just keep averaging in. But I'm really eyeing that 4,800, because I believe it's not a question of if, but when. That's my personal opinion, but I really think that with Ether, it's just a matter of, well, I can confidently say maybe even as soon as this summer, that 4,800 should be reached. We'll see how this ages, but I'm optimistic. And now listen, as for Bitcoin, I've marked the New York session weekend range here, and I see two options. Option number one, either we break upwards and grab the liquidity from above, then drop down for a retest of the 200 EMA on the H4, and possibly to collect liquidity from here. So once again, we'll do another round dancing in this range, okay? but I'd like to see a move like this boom only in that way. Alternatively, we might first go down and then start moving upwards. What you should pay attention to, my dear viewers, are above all the upcoming events, specifically, I mean, things like the interest rate decision, the FOMC statement, and the FOMC press conference. So on Wednesday at 8 p.m., things could get volatile. After 8 p.m., there could be some swings, meaning the end of the session might be quite dynamic. In fact, the whole of Wednesday could be dynamic, but this also means, my dear viewers, that we might see a build-up of certain expectations leading up to Wednesday, and these expectations, I think, could easily help us gather the capital needed to start another upward leg in Bitcoin. I believe this is a good period for that. We'll see how it all plays out. Even if I were to get stopped out of this position where my stop is set around 117,400 and some change, I still remain optimistic in the long-term perspective. Then I'll simply wait to take my position, most likely until tomorrow. Today, this long well, listen, they started pulling it up really nicely, damn, with price action. Look here, boom, 1630 hit, bam, they started pushing it up already. And then it dropped, and we can see it, right? For now, you can just see that there's an advantage for the short sellers. You can see that there's a supply advantage in the market, especially since the M15 candle is holding the price, which in itself suggests that on the H1, it's logic basically, it just shows their selling pressure. But honestly, at this moment, I have to say I'm very satisfied with July overall. I think it was a great month. We traded alts really well. We traded Dogecoin, we traded Viva, we traded Nairo, we traded AIM, and a few others that I don't have listed here. But honestly, I have to say I'm starting to pay more and more attention, firstly to Dogecoin and secondly to Arbitrum. I really like Arbitrum from a daily perspective. We're once again attacking the 200 from above, and once again there's this sort of dance happening around that 200 level, okay? The 9, the 8 and the daily 200 are holding us up. So I think this is actually a really good spot if we're going to reverse the trend now and not if Bitcoin goes lower. Because it's also worth noting the dominance. When I looked at it on the H4, the dominance actually got a boost to the upside. And interestingly, Bitcoin is dropping, which means capital is flowing out of the market. Because it's logical if alts are dropping, Bitcoin is dropping, and dominance is rising, then capital is moving from alts to Bitcoin and then from Bitcoin out of the market entirely. So, my friends, it's worth considering whether it even makes sense to trade anything at all before Wednesday. However, personally, I still see the market as bullish. I see the market as bullish, but as for Bitcoin, the targets I have in mind, the minimum ones, meaning the ones I wouldn't expect to be exceeded the first, is the one I have here, which is a little over 114. First of all, this would allow the gap to be completely closed. And secondly, wait, let me check the daily chart. Not on the daily, the gap is here, around this area, but it would allow the CME gap to be closed. And secondly, for example, this level of 112k would allow us to test the 50-day moving average from the D1 chart, which honestly I think would provide a really nice incentive to move higher, okay? And now, looking at all of this, by the way, the entire gap would also be closed here, which kind of goes without saying. However, continuing with this line of reasoning, my friends, it's worth noting that at the moment, Bitcoin is doing nothing but accumulating. That's all. The fact that I drew a flag here, okay, that's nice, but take a look from slightly higher time frames. Let's try the D1 time frame, because in reality, when it comes to closed candlestick bodies, except for this one exception, Bitcoin has been moving all the time between the yellow and the white line. White, yellow, white, yellow, white, yellow, white, yellow, and okay, the week is fine. Grabbing liquidity on Friday, right? Because we got a drop on Wednesday, strong drop on Ethereum on Wednesday. Look, boom, Wednesday, Thursday, we had a breakout, a drop, and on Friday we also had a small drop, but everything was pulled back up. Saturday and Sunday saw a strong recovery. On Monday morning, I closed my long position. We have a drop, so where are we now on the H4? Yes. All right, maybe it's already a bit, let's say, under, although I wouldn't treat it as too much under because right after that is the D1. But for example, here I'll be adding a bit more heavily to my long because for me, this level is really a nice zone for a strong rebound, provided we even get here at all, okay? This is also another very important thing. And now, what would I expect? Listen, I'll tell you what I'm trading for. I'm trading based on the fact that we've now started to pick up short orders from people who are positioned in the market, and I'm trading on the expectation that on the next attempt look, from the D1 perspective, everyone who understands zones, price action and so on can see, okay, one reaction, second reaction, third reaction, in reality the third and fourth, and most likely we're going to react here once again. But where should you place your stop losses? Well, probably above the wicks, right? Alternatively, that's one type of person, and the other type says, okay, look, here are the wicks, so we're going to go here. So we position ourselves right here to enter a short because there will be a liquidity play SMC, MMC, PMC, JPH, HDP, and so on. Now there will be a strong drop from here and we're going after the liquidity below. So where do we put the stop loss? Well, we won't put the stop loss here, but for example, we'll put the stop loss here or maybe here, okay, or $100 higher or something like that. Everyone has their own systems. However, I believe that when the time comes, we'll cut through all these shorts like butter, and I think we could even go straight up to 4,800. Why? Because the accumulation happening on Ethereum and what's going on with that network is really optimistic. It signals very bullish moves ahead. As for Bitcoin, however, everything depends on dominance. Everything depends on how the market plays out. Nevertheless, I'm still optimistic about this coin and I'm simply leaning bullish. Especially since looking at the daily chart, it's clear that we're moving sideways, the indicators are resetting and the money flow is trending upwards. So that's how I see it. Listen, I don't want to drag this out because there's really no point. I like to bring a bit of variety to this, for example, by adding these Alt and Gems updates and so on for you. What should definitely be interesting and exciting for you is that if you want to join Fire, where we have an impressive 520 members, where we're getting awesome results and doing great work, then my friends, the main thing is, Tadao, should I put this? We are raising the price, so access will no longer cost 200 zlotys. Why? Because people don't appreciate it and I'm not going to fucking beg anyone to work with me. Starting from the 1st of August, access will cost 500 zlotys, my friends. That will be the new price. Previously, access was 738, and we're returning to that price starting from the 1st of September. During the summer holidays, it will be a bit cheaper, but if you'd like to join Fire, just click the link below. Under every one of my videos, you'll find the first link to a free group where quite a lot is happening as well. There's a lot of great information. There are some of my YouTube videos. Oh, that's actually awesome. Listen, we did an airdrop Olympics and honestly, I don't even know if any other educational or signal group has done that. Okay. I'm not talking about like the crypto world and so on. I'm talking about those who mainly focus on airdrops or direct competition, so to speak. One guy from our group got $16,000, I think $16,000, less than 16,000 fucking dollars from an airdrop. Holy shit, that's fucking awesome. I'm so pumped. A lot of that came our way. So yeah, it's worth being in it. It's worth doing it. Time just paid off. That's the market. The market doesn't verify time. The market verifies patience and direction. That's the key. And now, just as an interesting fact, look, we have up to 190 people joining us on Zoom. We're excited about that too. This is today's market review, so just like every Monday, it's done and then shared on Important. Everyone in the group has access to it, so I strongly encourage you to check us out for those $200 because damn, you'll never see a price like that again. Honestly, let me tell you, my friends, I encourage you to become part of the Fire Crew family, part of the whole Timo. That's just some of my random stuff. I just encourage you to be with us, to follow along, and to simply get things done together with us. My friends, thank you so much for today. Sending you my warm regards. You can also find the link to BitGet in the description under each of my videos. Register, because that's a requirement to join Fire. Take care. See you. Bye.